first one, what we had done in the hybridization was sp. Then I gave you one example, then sp2, sp3 hybridization. And today what you are going to learn is involving one more orbital. Okay, that will be sp3 and then d orbital. Okay, so today's our topic is going to be the fourth one, the fourth category of hybridization, that is sp3d hybridization. So what will be sp3d hybridization? Which involves intermixing or mixing of one s orbital, 3 p orbital and 1 d orbital. Okay, so altogether how many orbitals are we taking? The atomic orbitals what we are taking are 5. Okay, so if you are taking 5 atomic orbitals, you will end up getting 5 sp3d hybrid orbitals. Okay, so this hybridization is called as sp3d hybridization. So we have one s orbital, then we have 3 p orbital. Okay, 3 p orbitals are there, and then we have one d orbital which is involved. Okay, so I'll just write one d orbital. Altogether it gives you 5 sp3d hybrid orbitals. Now if you have 5 bond, students, how are we supposed to arrange them now? If you have 5 bonds, how are we supposed to arrange? According to VSEPR theory, there are 5 bonds, no? Based on that, now, how will we arrange them? No. It won't be pentagon. Yes, trigonal bipyramidal. Yeah, good. It should be trigonal bipyramidal. No, 5 bonds you are having. See, you can't put them in one plane. If you put them in one plane now, they will have repulsion. So that is the reason you have to go into 3D space also. So the way we are able to arrange them is in this fashion. Okay, trigonal bipyramidal. You can see here 1, 2, 3. These 3 bonds are on the plane. Okay, trigonal. They are making a trigonal. And then one is above the plane and the one is below the plane. Okay, so this is the fashion you are supposed to arrange them. So you will get a triangle. The 3 bonds which you are arranging them on the plane, you will get a triangle there, and then one is above the plane and one is below the plane. Okay, so if you join all these after they have formed the bond, if you join and check out, okay, you will be able to get a pyramid. One pyramid, you can see, here green dots. So if you see that particular structure, it looks like a pyramid. Above there is one pyramid and below there is one pyramid. Okay, so that is the reason why that geometry is called as trigonal. Okay, it is trigonal bipyramidal. Okay, trigonal bipyramidal. This will be the geometry of it. Okay, in the space, this arrangement takes place. Now, observe here, these bonds are there, no? There are 3 bonds which are placed on the plane. Okay, there are 3. We can see here 3 bonds which are lying on the plane. Okay, these 3 bonds are lying on the plane. And what is the angle between these 3 bonds which are lying on the plane? If I take now these 3 bonds here, 1 and then 2 and then this is the third one. Okay, here is the third one. So if I have to consider the angle between this bond, okay, this angle is going to be 120 degree each on the plane. The altogether full angle is 360 degree, correct? No? So now there are 3 bonds which are there. So each one's bond angle will be 120 degree each, means 120 degree here, then 120 degree here, and then 120 degree on this side. Okay, so here each bond angle will be 120 degree each. The bond which you can see which are lying on the plane making the angle, they are making the angle of 120 degree each. Now these bonds are called as equatorial bonds. Okay, which are there on the plane. No, they are named as equatorial bonds. And then we find there are 2 more bonds remaining. These 2 more bonds which are there, no, one which you are finding above the plane and the one which you can find below the plane. Okay, so these orbitals which are there, what angle they will be making? See, suppose if you have a plane and then you have a line which is perpendicular to the plane, and when they are perpendicular to the plane, you know that the angle what they can make is 90 degree. Okay, so this angle which is going to be there, no students, this angle is going to be 90 degree each. Okay, and this bond is called as axial bond. Okay, the remaining two bonds which are there, the remaining two bonds which are lying, okay, in that which one is lying above the plane, one is lying above the plane, and one is lying below the plane. Okay, below the plane. One is above the plane and the other one is below the plane. So this one are making the angle of 90 degree each. Okay, and these bonds are called as axial bonds. They are on the axis, so they are called as axial bonds. Okay, this you need to keep in mind now. The angle when they are on the plane, these three bonds, okay, they are called as equatorial bonds, and the bond which are perpendicular to this equatorial bonds, okay, they are called as axial bond. So two bonds we are having perpendicular to that, which is making one 90 degree angle each, and the one which are there on the plane, they are making angle of 120 degree each. Okay. So that is all about sp3d hybridization. One is what are they and what geometry they will make, and the different kinds of bond which are there. Okay, what is the angle between them? So three bonds on the plane, equatorial bond, two bonds above and below the plane, 90 degree each, called as axial bond. Now I will directly take the example because examples are important for us. So example for this is PCl5. Okay, phosphorus. So see, which is a central atom over here? PCl5. Which is a central atom? Can locate? Everybody locate the central atom and tell me which one are we supposed to take for hybridization? Yes, correct. Phosphorus, no? Atomic number of phosphorus. Tell me the atomic number of phosphorus. 15? Correct? Very good. Yes. Good. 15 is the atomic number. Correct. So if I have to write the ground state now, see how is the ground state electronic configuration. You can start writing along with me. Okay. As I'm doing on the screen, simultaneously even you start doing. So when we write ground state electronic configuration, the configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, and then 3p3. Okay. 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p3. Which orbital should I take now for hybridization? Students, tell me which orbital I should take for hybridization. From where should I start taking the orbital for hybridization? Yes, very good. We need to start from the third one, correct? No, third one. Yes. We will not be considering the 1s, 2s and 2p orbital because these are core electrons and they are inside. Okay. The electrons which are there or the orbitals which are there in the valence shell, only that has to be considered. So your 3s and 3p are the one which we need to take. So I'll put a bar over here. Okay. Indicating that only this should be involved. So now we will distribute this in the orbital. Okay. So I'm taking s orbital which has 1 division, and then we have p orbital which has 3 division. Okay. Let me distribute. So when I take here s orbital, 3s orbital, I can put 2 electron. And 3p orbital, since they are having 3 electron, I can put one single electron each. Okay, in the 3p orbital. Now tell me, will this be enough for us to explain PCl5? Ground state, will it be enough to explain PCl5 bonding? Is it possible for us to explain only with this? No, right? Not possible, no? Everyone agrees? It is not possible. Why it is not possible? Because the number of unpaired electron now here in this case is 3. So if they have only 3 unpaired electron, you could have explained it for PCl3 directly with the ground state. But for PCl5, it is not possible. Okay. So what we need to do now here is we need to write the excited state. To write the excited state, you need to shift this electron. So to which orbital you are going to shift? Immediately after this, which orbital is available? Okay. So now here 3s, 3p is there. After that, the empty orbital what we have, no? That is 3d orbital. Okay. So you will be writing the 3d orbital which is empty. In the ground state, it is empty. Okay. They don't contain any electron. So now we need to shift this electron, no? Excite this electron. From where to where we need to excite? Total unpaired electrons we need to get is 5. Here we can see only 3. So if this paired electron from 3s orbital is shifted to 3d orbital, then we will be able to altogether get 5 unpaired electrons. Okay, so we need to shift it to the 3d orbital. Okay, so that will be the excited state of phosphorus. Okay, that will be the excited state. Okay, so excited state will be where you will see that there is only one electron in the 3s orbital, and then single electron even in the 3p orbital. Okay, one electron each, and then one electron in the 3d orbital. Okay, so one electron in the 3d orbital. So once you have done this arrangement, you have got enough of electrons which are required for bonding purpose. 5 electrons are required to bind with 5 chlorine. Now we will mix them. Okay, so this is 3d orbital. Now we will mix one 3s orbital, 3p orbital, and then one 3d orbital. This you have to mix, which involves hybridization. Okay, so we can write down that one 3s orbital, and then 3p orbital, and then one 3d orbital, one 3d orbital. All of this you are going to mix. That is hybridization. Okay, undergoes hybridization. These undergo hybridization to give altogether now 5 are there, because 1 plus 3 plus 1 is 5. Okay, so it will give you 5 sp3d hybrid orbitals. Okay, so these 5 hybrid orbitals are there. No, they will arrange themselves in this fashion. Okay, in the trigonal bipyramidal fashion is there, no? In this way, one will be up, one will be below the plane. So one up and one I am drawing below the plane. Now there are 3 more which is remaining. Okay, 3 will orient themselves in this fashion. One here, one over here, and one on this side. You can draw on the other side also, that's fine. Okay, so this way. So these are the 5 sp3d hybrid orbital which will contain one unpaired electron each. Okay, one unpaired electron each will be present in this 5 sp3 hybrid orbital. So done. After this, they will orient themselves in the trigonal bipyramidal fashion always. Once the mixing is over, they will arrange themselves in that fashion. Now these hybrid orbital will overlap with the chlorine orbital. Which orbital of chlorine they should overlap? That you need to explain. After this, the next point is that, okay, each, can you tell me? Each sp3d hybrid orbital will overlap with the chlorine. No, which orbital of chlorine? Orbital of phosphorus overlaps with the, which orbital I should write here? Chlorine, which orbital will they overlap with? Yes, correct. 3p orbital. And how do you identify that? By writing the electronic configuration. Okay. So electronic configuration of chlorine is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, and then we have 3p5. Okay. And this is the orbital which contains one unpaired electron. So each sp3d hybrid orbital of phosphorus overlaps with the 3p orbital of chlorine. Okay. 3p orbital of chlorine, and all of this will happen actually. Okay, all this overlapping will take place actually, because I've told you hybrid orbitals, the way they are going to form the bond will be actually, and they form a sigma bond. Okay, with chlorine actually to form 5 phosphorus chlorine sigma bond. Okay, phosphorus chlorine sigma bond. So this will be formed. So once this overlapping is over, then you have to show that bond formation, okay, with phosphorus and the chlorine. But here, you don't have to write this structure, students. Now here, this is the overlapping structure, okay. The phosphorus orbital is there. This pink one you can see, no? Those are the hybrid orbital of phosphorus, and then this green ones are the p orbital which is brought by the chlorine. So you need not draw this because it will be complicated. For some of you, you will feel it difficult. So what you can do is directly you can draw this bond line structure. Okay, this one I've drawn. No, this would be enough. For a complex molecule, a complicated molecule, when you have 5, 6 bonds, okay, you don't have to draw this orbital diagram. Directly you can draw the bond line structure. This would be more than enough for us, okay. So this is how the bond will look like. The center you will have phosphorus, then you will have 3 chlorine atom. It can even be arranged like this, okay, 3 chlorine atom, equatorial position. You can put 3 chlorine atom here also, okay, and one above the plane and the other one is below the plane. Okay, so you will get a triangle here. On the plane you will have a triangle. Then when you join this axial chlorine with the equatorial one, you will obtain one pyramid up. And similarly, when we do that for the chlorine which is placed below, we get another pyramid. So the geometry will be trigonal bipyramidal. Okay, before that you need to explain the angle. See, I told you in sp3 hybridization, we are getting 3 bonds which come in the plane. Okay, on the plane you are getting, which makes the angle of 120 degrees. So you need to explain how many bond of such category is there, and the one which are present above and below the plane, how many are there, with the what angle they are present. Okay, so the next thing what you need to write down is that there is 3. Okay, after drawing the overlapping part, then you can write this 3 PCl, 3 PCl bond lie on the plane. Okay, on the plane, making the angle of 120 degree each, making the angle of 120 degree each. Okay, and these bonds are called as equatorial bond. These bonds are called as equatorial bond. Then remaining we have 2. Remaining are 2. So that remaining 2, the remaining 2 PCl bond, the remaining 2 PCl bond lying above and below the plane, above and below the plane, makes an angle of 90 degree. Okay, makes an angle of 90 degree, and those are called as axial bond. They are called as axial bond. So this much would be enough. Okay, you can at the end write the geometry. At the end you write, because I don't have place there, I will write it here. At the end you write geometry. Geometry is trigonal bipyramidal, and bond angle anyways we have told. Okay, equatorial bond is 120 degree and axial bond is 90 degree each. Yes, students. So since you have replied, I hope that most of you have understood it. The one who are really interested in learning and the one who are listening, okay, they will be able to easily follow it. So if you want, I'll just revise once again. In PCl5, 15 is the atomic number. After writing the atomic number, only the valence shell orbitals you will take for hybridization. So you get that 3s has 2 electron, 3p has 1 electron each. Okay, but these electrons are not enough for binding purpose. So what we try to do is we excite them. So after excitation you get 5 unpaired electrons which you are going to mix. Okay, these orbital which contains this 5 unpaired electron has to be mixed, and that is hybridization. Okay, so altogether you will get 5 sp3 hybrid orbitals. After you get these orbitals, you need to overlap with the atom which they are linked with. Now phosphorus is linked with the chlorine atom. So you need to check out which orbital of the chlorine will overlap. So 3p orbital is the one which contains 1 unpaired electron. That will overlap actually to form 5 PCl sigma bond. Okay. Then the next part is to write the geometry of it. P, Cl. Okay. Altogether 5 bond. So 3 will be on the plane and 1 is above the plane and 1 is below the plane. Okay. So in that which are there on the plane, they make angle of 120 degree, equatorial bond. Okay, and the one which is present above and below the plane, since it is perpendicular, perpendicular angle should be 90 degree. So this angle is 90 degree each. Okay, this is 90 degree. Here, this one is 90 degree. This side also it is 90 degree. Okay, so all of that is 90 degree. Even below the plane when you are going, it's 90 degree with the equatorial and the axial. Okay, geometry you tell at the end. Trigonal bipyramidal is the geometry. Okay, now one thing about this. No, at the end you can write the geometry. Geometry you write at the end. Okay. At the end you write what is a geometry. And if bond angle is only one category, we write no directly after that. Since here we have two different category, we need to mention that. Okay. Yeah. So what I was telling here in this PCL5 is what they have found practical is the bond angle is there, no students. This bond angle of PCL5, okay, this length is found to be around 214 picometer, okay, 214 picometer, and the equatorial bonds are there, no, they are found to be 202 picometer. So why it is happening, that you need to explain, okay. Practically when they have found that the bond length is different, okay. Now if they are different, that means they are experiencing a repulsion when they are held together. Since there are so many electrons, see, it's like here you have electron, here there is electrons, everywhere there is electron cloud which is present. So due to that combination of that compact structure, what happens is this electrons, they experience repulsion. The one which are above and below the plane, since they are only two in number, okay, these are the one which will be suffering more repulsion. Okay, so due to that more repulsion, what happens is they will see, when there is a repulsion, what they have to do, they have to minimize that repulsion. So when they have to minimize the repulsion, they need to go little far, no. So if they are going little far, now see this bond which was supposed, all the bond was supposed to be equal, but then here this bond which is there above and below the plane is found to be little longer than compared to the equatorial one. Okay, so that is happening because of the compact structure what we are having, due to which the axial bond are there, no, these axial bond pairs, they suffer more repulsion. So when they are suffering more repulsion, they try to reduce that repulsion by going far away from this particular place. So they try to expand that length. Okay, so there is enlargement taking place, so there is increase in the length, bond length is increasing. Okay, so this axial bond length will become slightly longer than compared to the equatorial one. Okay, so due to that bond length, since the bond length is becoming larger, then it will be easier for us to break. Okay, if the bond length, see, if I take a stick, you can imagine that with the help of analogy example of a stick. If you have a longer stick, breaking of that stick will be easier. But if you have a smaller one, breaking that will require a little more energy. Okay, because here longer one, if you have, the force will be applied in this, okay, in a large area. So then it becomes easier for us to break. Whereas here, if it is smaller one, it becomes little difficult for us to break. Okay, so that is the reason when they experience this axial bond pair, experience the repulsion, they go for a little larger distance, and when they become longer, okay, automatically they will become weaker. So if they are becoming weaker, easy for us to break this, so they will be more reactive in nature. So question could be asked in this fashion, okay, why PCl5 molecule is more reactive? So why they are more reactive? That is because of this reason. Okay, they experience the axial bond which is there, they experience repulsion. Since this axial bond is experiencing a repulsion, then compared to the equatorial bond, so they found to be becoming little larger than compared to the equatorial. So if they are becoming longer, and then they will be more reactive. Okay, so PCl5 is found to be more reactive due to this reason. So you can write as a give reason, okay, give reason why PCl5 molecule is more reactive. Give reason, okay, I'll write the question above. Give reason PCl5 molecule is more reactive. then you write this answer. Okay, because this axial bond pair suffers more repulsive interaction than compared to the equatorial bond. Therefore, axial bonds are found to be slightly longer and they will be weaker. If they become longer and weaker, they will be easier for us to break. Okay, now one last category which is remaining. We will speak about that. Okay, the last kind of hybridization, that is the fifth category, sp3d2 hybridization. So sp3d2 is which involves one s orbital. Okay, we have one s orbital and then we have three p orbital. Three p orbitals are there and then two d orbital. All of these undergo hybridization to give us altogether 6 are there. No? So you'll get 6 sp3d2 hybrid orbitals. So you have 6 sp3d2 hybrid orbitals. So 6 orbitals should arrange themselves in the fashion this way. Okay, where you can see these are the hybrid orbitals. Okay, you will see here 1, 2, 3 and then 4. So 4 we will get on the plane and then one above and one below the plane. Okay, and this type of geometry is called as the geometry what they are going to exhibit here with this 6 hybrid orbital, that is octahedral. Okay, it is also called as octahedral. Why they are called as octahedral? Because when you join this, you see how many faces you obtain. See, it will be a square, no? If I join the orbitals which are there on the plane, it will give you a square, and then when you join it together with the atom which will be present on the top, okay, you will get 4 faces. Okay, you will get square pyramidal. So you get 4 faces up and you will get 4 faces below this. So that is the reason why it is named as octahedral, 8 faces. Okay, yes, very good. The bond angle between them, correct. The bond angle between them will be 90° each. Okay, bond angle everywhere, it will be bond angle will be 90 degrees. See this angle, like I'll draw once again. This side I will take. Okay, see, central atom is A. If the central atom is A, this angle is going to be 90°, no, which is there on the plane, 90°. Everywhere it is going to be 90°. Now take the one which is above the plane and below the plane. When they are above the plane, that means above and below the plane, they will be perpendicular. So if they are perpendicular, that angle also will be 90°. So everywhere the bond angle is going to be 90° each. Okay, so that is about sp3d2 hybridization. It involves intermixing of 1s, 3p and 2d orbital, giving you 6 sp3 hybrid, 6 sp3d2 hybrid orbital, which will orient themselves in the octahedral fashion with the bond angle of 90° each. Okay. So let's go for the explanation of the molecule using this hybridization. So we have SF6 to explain. Okay. So central atom over here is sulfur, correct? No? Sulfur atomic number is 16. So we will start with the electronic configuration. Yeah, sulfur is 16. Atomic number is 16. Electronic configuration, ground state we will write first. Ground state electronic configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2 and then 3p4, correct? Distribute this electron and check out whether you have enough of unpaired electron to bind with the 6th fluorine atom. Okay, so p orbital 3 division, and then after that there is d orbital which is empty. Okay, this d orbital you can draw and keep, but then that will be empty orbital in the ground state. So we have 3s and then we have 3p and then it is 3d. Okay, so In the 3p, we have 4 electron, 1, 2, 3, and then 4 electron. Okay. So what we need to do now? Can you tell me? What are we supposed to do after this? Yeah, how many electrons I need to shift? From where I need to shift? Yes, good. Very good. You are telling me each and everything. I should write next the excited state. Most of you are answering also. That's a good thing. Okay, excited state when I write, I should not take this part. Okay, I need to write only the 3s and the 3p part, and 2 electrons I need to excite. Correct? No, 1 from 3s. Very good. Correct. 1 from 3s and then 1 from the 3p orbital to the 3d orbital. Okay, so I'll write here 1 electron I'll get in 3s, and then 3 electron will remain in the 3p. Okay, single electron will remain in the 3p, and then we will have 3d. Okay, 3d with 2 electrons. So done. We have shifted now to 3d orbital. Now we have got altogether 6 which is required, okay, to bind with the 6 fluorine atom. Now you can mix them together. So now they will undergo hybridization. So how many are there? 1 3s orbital. Then we have 3 3p orbital, and then 2 3d orbital. All of this will undergo hybridization. These will undergo hybridization. Total how many you will get? 6. Okay. 6 sp3d2 hybrid orbitals. Okay, 6 sp3d2 hybrid orbitals. Now this 6 sp3d2 hybrid orbitals are there, no? They will orient themselves like this, okay? Means 4 will be on the plane. I'll just roughly draw this because these are hybrid orbital. So you will find 4 on the plane, 1 above and 1 below the plane, containing 1 electron each. Okay, these are the hybrid orbitals. Even this part you can eliminate. Okay, when you are very thorough, no, this part you can eliminate. Writing this hybrid orbital part is there, no, only that diagram part is there, no, that also can be removed from all the structures. Okay, you can directly go for explaining the overlap. Why I have done this? Because I wanted to give you the stepwise explanation so that you understand, okay, in this hybrid orbital there is electron. After the electrons are there, then they should undergo overlapping. So once you are very thorough, you can eliminate this part, diagram part of it. Okay. So what should we write after this? Immediately after this is the overlapping part. Okay. Now tell me which orbital we need to take for overlapping. Yeah, very good. Fluorine's 2p orbital has to be taken. Yes, good. So after this is overlapping concept. Each sp3d2 hybrid orbital, each sp3d2 hybrid orbitals of sulfur overlaps with the 2p orbital of fluorine, 2p orbital of fluorine. Actually, okay, they are overlapping actually to form how many bonds they are forming? 6 sulfur phosphorus sigma bond. Okay, 6 sulfur phosphorus, because sulfur is binding with phosphorus, so sulfur phosphorus sigma bond. Okay, after doing that, when you are writing that orbital structure, this is how it will look. Okay, but I said you can eliminate writing the orbital structure, but this is how it will look. We have this orange color one, you can see, you know, orange ones are the sp3d2 hybrid orbital, which were having 1 electron each in their hybrid orbital. They were having 1 electron each, and then fluorine came. That fluorine atom is bringing 1 electron, unpaired electron from its 2p orbital, okay, which had 1 unpaired electron, that they are bringing to bind with the hybrid orbital of sulfur. So here, see the orientation. You can find 4 is there on the plane. This 4 ones are there, no, the square you can see here, 1, 3, and then fourth one. Okay, so altogether 4 is there on the plane. 2 of them are above and below the plane. Okay, so they make the angle of 90 degree each. So at the end you write just the geometry part. Okay, after drawing this you write geometry is octahedral, geometry is octahedral, and bond angle is 90. How is it 90? Is it? Bond angle is 90 degrees. See here, it is like a square. See here, 4 fluorine atom is there on the plane. Okay, on the plane if I take, see this angle, no? Between this and this, on the plane you check. I am taking 2 bond. Between the 2 bond you see the angle. It will be 90 degree, no? This is 90 degree. Again here, this and this is on the plane. Okay, it is like a square. Arrangement is like a square. Okay, so in the square, what is the angle they are having? 90 degree each, no? Between each vertex, what is the angle? 90 degree each. So again, see here 90 degree. This also will be 90 degree. Okay. Then above and below the plane you check. Since this above plane is perpendicular to this plane, this will be also 90 degree. Correct, no? Perpendicular, no? So 90 degree each. Okay, good. So bond angle is 90 degree each.